let's lock in. It's Sunday, January 5th, and it was the premiere of the annual Golden Globes premiere, which is an award season that highlights achievement in television and movies, which is why it's a little bit more chaos, it's a little bit less structure. It's a mixing and mingling of the silver screen with the, what's the other screen?
Small screen.
Small
Let's be
screen.
real. They were making fun of this because she was
I
saying like
thought
the
TV was the
top
silver
three.
screen.
No, movies are the silver screen.
Yeah, that's like movies.
Okay.
But Nikki
Mhm.
Glasser was making fun of the fact that like the top three people nominated for films were also nominated for television. So it's kind of like converging, and it's we're entering that era where TV is not much different than film, and there's just as much prestige involved. So that's
Well, that and
exciting.
the movie, and also that the movie stars are taking all the TV stars' is shine and jobs and stuff.
Well, I mean, they're realizing that these little limited series and stuff are
Is
working.
basically
It's earning them Golden Globes. They're like, why shouldn't I?
well, and I saw Javier Bardem. He did an interview and he was like, I haven't done like a TV. He's very much a movie actor and
Mhm.
an acclaimed one, right? He's won all the things, No Country for Old Men, like he's amazing. And Penelope Cruz is a lucky woman. But he
Yeah.
was saying that like when he did the Menendez brothers film or show, he was like, "Oh, I don't know about TV. I don't know about TV." But then was like won over because this means you can like tell a longer story,
Yeah.
more in
Mhm.
depth over several episodes, and you get to deep dive into the story like a film, but it's not as abbreviated. And so he kind of he was like, this is amazing. It's like a limited series can like really tell a full story, whereas a movie is going to be the shortcut version. It's going to be the Sparks Notes or the Reader's Digest back in the day when you had the Reader's Digest anthologies.
Yeah,
You had the Sidney
but
Digest.
it
Sheldon
wasn't the
books,
whole
but it
book.
left out the sex bits and all of the exciting stuff because
People
they
thought
just
we were so much younger than we were, but we were totally of that era of just romance
oh we
novels and being into.
Michael Crichton,
Mhm.
the John Grisham, the Sidney Sheldon, the Nora Roberts, like
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
very, very us. So yeah, I think TV is moving into that era, but the Globes, mm, meh. I'm still medium
But
on that.
I
I
was very
was
surprised
impressed.
at how they went tonight, to be honest.
Like good surprised or not?
Surprise good or yeah.
No, not surprised good. I got a lot more predictions wrong than I thought I was going to, and I'm a little bothered. I'm a little bothered by it.
See,
Let's just blanket statement. This doesn't change the race at all. Like Hollywood wants a precursor. They
mhm.
want uh a predictor of the Oscars, a big lead in, a televised
Yeah.
show that's going to give people a hint or at least tell Oscar voters what to nominate because
Yeah.
Mhm.
nominations for Oscars haven't even come yet.
And
So the Golden Globes, yeah.
not to mention the fact that the Oscars, they're using this as just like a lead in as like their precursor. And
Yeah.
people are going to react to the Golden Globes with what they say to the Oscars. So they may
But
be playing.
should they have that authority and that pull? No. It's a small voting body. It's
Yeah.
international voters, journalists. They
Mhm.
are pushing forward your Fernanda Torres's, which is she's probably wonderful in that movie, but we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And from what I'm hearing and word on the street, Marianne Jean Baptiste, I feel like a broken record, is better than Fernanda Torres in her foreign movie, but she's Brazilian and she's getting a lot of like the internet, like even on Reddit, everybody's like, if Fernanda Torres doesn't win, I'm gonna blah 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 blah. And it's like, we haven't even seen this film. I would be surprised if she even gets an Oscar nod.
Well,
But
that's
this
what bothers me is that a lot of
it's
these films aren't even available to see yet. So it's
no,
kind of not fair as far as
yeah,
predictions go. We haven't seen the performances
Yeah.
of some of the top winners.
yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's
haven't
like
seen The Brutalist.
we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. What we really need is for some of these studios to send us the films to screen
Yeah,
prior
maybe
to.
maybe if enough people listen and enjoy our perspective, then we will get screeners next year, and that
Or
is the
maybe they will change the dates and make 2024 movies actually in 2024
yeah.
or,
That part.
next year. That they'll actually keep it to that year and not
Mhm.
bleed over and release everything Christmas and January. It's ridiculous. Doesn't
Okay.
make any
It
sense.
really is. And there was a movement, I feel like it was in the early 2010s, where there was a backlash on the two-part movie. Okay.
Mhm.
Divergent Part 3, no one
Yeah.
even saw that movie
The
because people were just
Twilight.
like disgusted.
Mhm.
After Twilight, after Harry Potter, there was this like exhaustion with the two-part movies, breaking movies into two parts that didn't need to be. And the
Mhm.
Right.
studios stopped doing it. But
Mhm.
here we are again, and
Mhm.
they're bringing it back. Same with the year, I think it was 2012, Argo
Mhm.
won Best Film and Best Director for Ben
Yeah.
Affleck. And
Hmm.
that movie came out in like September, which was really early because all the movies had started like just releasing from Thanksgiving through
Christmas season.
Christmas through the New Year. And that was just the thing. And people were just fed up with it. And then finally, the Academy said, we're not going to do this anymore. We're
Yeah.
going to award a movie that came out before the awards bait rush and dissuade you all from doing that. And then studios started, sparingly or, dispersing their releases throughout the year so that they weren't accused of doing that. But here we are after the SAG strikes and the
Mhm.
writer strikes and the pandemic.
Pandemic.
There was this huge pause,
Yeah.
and now we are seeing a regression on the two-part film,
Mhm.
Wicked,
Yeah. They're
part
dialing
two,
in the old
and
They're
the
dialing in the
late.
old codes and the old formulas because
Mhm.
they're trying to get back to the main thing that happened in 2020 was that it was like the death of the celebrity. Like we did not
Mhm.
care. We didn't
Mhm.
know where we were supposed to be. We didn't know where we were going to get our next mask or what the mask did. We had no room for what Rihanna was wearing at the Met Gala that year. And that's when
Right.
like everything just became like, we can't worry about y'all no more. We have to worry about us. And
Really.
Ourselves.
yeah. And so that lasted for a good year.
Two, at least.
Lovely
Yes.
year or two where, but then the Met Gala came back around. They were able to push fashion and some scandal, and they're trying to push back. And then, even though the Golden Globes have struggled with racial bias, with nepotism, with like all of the things that they have with like
Bribery.
bribery, Emily in
Um,
Paris. I mean, it's
yeah.
been a lot of things. And as now, they are just I think the Golden Globes was a great show. And the reason why I think it was a great show was because I take it for what it is. It's a clown act. Like at this point, it's not serious. It's the lead up to the Oscars. They've been discredited altogether. And it's just,
But if people keep thinking of it as a
but
silly
are
little
they?
precursor.
Is it really making that big a difference? Or is it an opportunity for people to make bigger plays before the Oscars?
It's a it's a it's a as much as people give it air.
Yeah.
And the fact is people are continuing to give it air, including Hollywood, because they want a precursor like this. So since the Golden Globes were delegitimized, completely gutted in terms of who's
Gusted.
running it, how many people are voted, how big the bribery is. They shut down for 2 years. Now, is that long enough in any world, in any industry, to revamp systemic problems?
Right.
No.
Probably not.
No.
But Hollywood isn't willing to let it go, and the public will keep going with it because it's a recognizable, rite
And
of passage.
we
The
want a
Golden Globes are the
robust,
first televised
yeah.
award
And it's
show.
the G and EGOT. So,
And
oh no, it's G and Grammy, isn't it?
we suffered
The
from
G
the
is
SAG,
Grammy. It's not Golden Globe. No.
and we suffered from the strikes. We suffered from not having good TV shows for like a
Yes,
year
but
and
we
a
did
half.
not
That sucked.
suffer from not having a Golden Globes the last few years.
No,
And
you're right.
honestly, I think Hollywood suffered because they didn't know whether they were coming. They didn't have a snapshot or a sneak peek into what was doing well on the streets, like word on, like what the voters were airing towards. But Nikki Glasser did an amazing job.
She
I
did.
want to
And
say
before
that.
we get to her, I want to talk about her, but I have to divert and acknowledge that we are all wearing our Honolulu blue because the Lions won, baby. Okay.
Detroit
The
football.
Lions won the official score against
Let's
the
go.
Minnesota Vikings. Okay. They rolled up there. They bought all those tickets to try and throw us off. They were walking around Ann Arbor like they owned the place and just
Please.
all over. And we sent them packing 31-9. Bye.
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 Thanks for
Michigan for the win. We will always win.
thanks for playing.
It's
Yeah.
the mitt.
So that was also happening while watching. You
The
know,
Golden Globe.
Golden
Yeah.
was seeing
Yes.
that hype.
We were going back and forth. And
Yeah.
honestly, I thought it was going to be a stressful night whereby I would have to be like watching the Golden Globes on the main TV and then running upstairs to my son's TV to check on the Lions score.
I helped him out.
But we were ahead enough that I felt comfortable enough that I
Yep.
wasn't. And thank you, Lions. Thank you,
Mhm.
Jared Goff, and all of the
Gibbs.
powers that
Gibbs.
be
Amon St. Ra.
for making, yes,
And Dan
for making this an
Campbell.
easy night where I did not have to run back and forth. I was confident that we were doing well, and I caught the highlights, in between
I'm almost ready to announce that Dan Campbell and I are in love. He's not sure of it yet. I'm sure he doesn't know it yet, but it's in the works. He is
Mm-hmm.
everything.
We'll just inform him, and he will probably
Fall in line.
Yep.
So Nikki Glasser is actually the first woman to host the Golden Globes solo.
Really?
But it's been Tina Fey and what's
yeah.
her name? But it's never
Oh,
been
so
one.
didn't Ellen? Oh, but she did the Oscars.
She did the Oscars.
She did the Oscars. This
Several
is the Golden
times.
Globes.
I was
Yeah.
reading up on Nikki Glasser right before the show because I was like, okay, who is this girl? Because I missed the Tom Brady roast. Did anybody see the Tom Brady roast?
I saw
No.
snippets from it, but I know Nikki Glasser because
He roasted him,
Gottmik
ate him up.
from Drag Race
Mhm.
stole all of her jokes in her roast from Nikki Glasser. So after the episode aired and she like made the top, like she didn't win that episode, but she made the top like 3, and then it came out like fans were like, wait, but all
You
these
stole
jokes
someone's
are recycled from Nikki Glasser, like
Recycled
verbatim.
roast.
So
And I saw in an interview when I was doing a little research, I had like 45 minutes to deep dive Vanity Fair articles about her and stuff. And
yeah,
he says she's been doing this for 20 years.
yeah,
She's been in the roast circuit for a long time. And her strength is writing the jokes.
yeah. She writes all, and you can tell all of the jokes were funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them were funny.
Mhm.
She was top tier.
Mhm.
I feel like she is funnier than
A lot
all
of the
of
other
the
ones.
Amy,
Well, what about Ali Wong though?
Ali Wong is hilarious. I
Yeah.
don't know. She can do no wrong. When she was talking about
she
getting
is
divorced
funny
at 40.
too. I would love to see her host because I think that she would not do as well as Nikki Glasser, but I'm not sure. And I did get that one wrong. I knew Ali was the favorite to win for the TV special, but I did throw my vote behind Jamie Foxx because I cried and I emoted, and that
It was emotional.
comedy special was just
That
very
was a
moving
black
for
vote.
me.
That was
Yeah,
ruling for
but
everybody.
that was my black vote. Yeah,
Yeah,
Coleman Domingo also. I really would have still the vote behind him too,
I did
but I
too.
knew he wasn't gonna win. You know,
So
but like, yeah,
I did a little research on Nikki Glazer. She ate that up. The intro was amazing.
everything
She is a
fine.
June 1st, 1984 Gemini, born in, I'm guessing St. Louis because she said that's where she was from, which by my calculations, as a certified ancient astrologer, she must have a Cancer moon if she was born a week before us. And I saw a lot of emotion. I saw a lot of thinking on her feet. I saw a lot of care and how she approached the jokes. Because she had said before in the articles that she wasn't going to come for Blake. She did not. She said that she was going to make the joke so funny that it wasn't like personal attacks and that people may have to think about it later and be like, oh, wait, that was about me. So there's some hidden jokes in there too. She's very clever. I just
Yeah.
She's
really,
very clever.
yeah.
I also, my one drawback was her not talking about the Blake Lively stuff because she's Team Blake and I'm also Team Justin. So, like, I chose to ignore that and not count that against her
Mhm.
because when your best friend is a movie star who's also best friends with Taylor Swift, which, like, they're all like billionaires, and you're like, I'm not going to come for them. It's like, okay, girl.
But what was the
But
best part? What was the best part of her stand up?
oh, everything. She
The,
was
when she listed the thank yous,
that
That
was
was
funny.
funny.
zero
When she
votes, zero votes.
when
But
she
I
said
think I think everything else was preset. So I think that was the
she
only
wrote the
part
joke, if
that
you say.
was improvised. So
Yeah.
when I'm looking at a show, I don't think that she was really just making things up as she went or flying. Like I
Mm,
tend to disagree where I feel like she had her jokes written and so tight in
she did.
advance
She did.
that there was no room for error.
Well, she
And
got some backups. Like that's the thing. You have your jokes, but you have your plan B, C, D, E, F. That's what the whole thing is about. But I think
mhm.
in general, she nailed it when she was talking about the Stanley Tucci parties with the olive
Her
oil.
opening monologue was just
Really
every
great.
time every time she came out, I felt like it was like, please, more. I would have
The
Culpable.
Harrison
rather.
Ford joke where she said Zendaya, Ariana, Indica.
And
said,
Harrison Ford.
He didn't get it. He didn't get it.
It's
said
like,
you want to
bitch,
be
you live in
popular.
California.
She
You
said,
live
I
in
know. How did
California.
not get that joke?
because he don't smoke weed.
Well, maybe
Or
he
he
does.
smokes too much.
All right.
Yeah, I think that was
To
the point that he does.
Or that he
But
smokes too much and he's old. Yeah.
me,
No.
it was the slapstick with the popular. That was to me
Oh yeah.
the ability to go outside of yourself to not be take yourself seriously. The end. I'm sold.
yeah,
Yeah.
So, anyways, a quick overview.
Yeah.
What do you think about the dresses, ladies? Let's talk red carpet. Who
Let's talk red
gagged
red
you?
carpet. Let's talk. I feel like this was a bad year, and this is another reason
Oh, really?
I
for
didn't see a
overall
lot of great
fashion.
looks. Yeah,
For overall,
a
I
lot of great looks.
usually there's more to choose from for like best dressed, but this year I feel like the only people who even qualify were
Zoe,
Zoe, Zoe Zaldana,
Demi.
um, where's my list? Demi Moore, that
Yeah,
gold.
it
Uh,
was silver.
It
Well,
was
on the
silver
red
and
carpet, it's kind of
champagne.
silverish gold champagne.
Champagne.
I also really loved Cheryl Lee Ralph. I know that she's not like, but I like looking at the more the fuller figure because that's probably where I would be and like what would look good on me. And that red that she came with, Viola Davis,
I
like
was
Yes.
gonna say
honestly,
Viola for me. It's like, please give us one more good look before this thing is over, and
please.
she
And Viola,
delivered.
She did it.
she
She did
She
it.
delivered.
delivered. I
Mhm.
loved it. I
Yeah,
love
I
the
did
hair.
too. I
I
love the
love the
hair,
black
the
with the color, the
earrings.
cape. Come on, cape.
Come on, Kate.
I
But there
like
were a
I
lot
like
of
I like Zendaya's look too. I like the red hair and the orange dress. That's way different than she usually shows up.
I don't love that hair length on her.
Okay,
I don't
that's
mind the
surprising.
hair length. I think that's her natural hair. When I saw it, I was like, that doesn't look like a wig to me.
I
Mm-mm.
mean, it makes sense, but
But I didn't love it. It looked kind of like a prom dress to me. It wasn't like
Mm.
it wasn't. I wasn't, and
I can't.
this,
It's
this is
not.
I can't. I just can't. It's the red carpet. Come with more.
Okay, Samantha.
Ariana DeBose, girl,
What
what
is
is
she
that
doing in
garbage bag you're
Givenchy?
wearing? Angelina Jolie. I'm sorry, but even Hacks, Jean
being
Smart,
smart.
Jean
Yeah.
Smart looked better than her.
What
That
did
gown looked
Angelina have
like
on?
some
This
shredded,
old
like
lady
old
dress.
lady. Like
Oh
it just
no.
wasn't giving. It's like, bitch, you're up here with these 50 somethings. You should be looking as hot, HAWT, as as the other 50 somethings who are being lauded this year, which is one thing I love about this award
Right.
season. Demi, Angie,
Angie,
Nicole.
all
Nicole,
Nicole, all the middle aged, like even
Kate
Kate, who didn't
Blanchett,
really deserve to be. No, Kate Winslet. Kate
Winslet.
Blanchett, I think, is a little older.
Yeah.
But also, she stays dressed to the nines. Her dress was just okay though this year. But like, that's like I wasn't overwhelmed.
Yeah.
No.
Anya Taylor Joy, I felt like the pink just was so washed out.
I feel
Yeah, she was
the
just
one thing
too
that
pale.
the one thing that overwhelmed me was
Kerry Washington,
yeah, nah.
that length was like, what's the length doing? This shoulder, like, uh,
I didn't get it.
no,
The best dress period was Zoe Saldana. When they
period.
Mhm.
called her and she walked up in that black sequence and that necklace, the way
That
the
liquid
cut
gold
was and the
black.
way it was just completely almost painted on her and the tight bun, she ate that up.
She
So
did.
even if
House down boots.
yeah,
Period.
even if that was the best and
Crumbs.
then and then Demi came out and then her doppelganger, what's that young girl's name? She looked
Margaret
Margaret
Qualley.
cute.
Qualley.
Yeah, she looked cute too.
She did
But
I don't know
too.
about the bow. I don't love a bow moment, but
yeah, but I mean
you know.
she's Demi.
She's a young ingenue.
Yeah, she's
Mm-hmm.
doing what she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I
Mhm.
thought Zoe's speech was the one of the highlights for me.
It was
Beautiful.
beautiful. And like honestly, I feel like if the Golden Globes are good for anything, it's an audition for the Oscars for
Mm-mm.
your acceptance
Acceptance
speech.
speech.
If you give an acceptance speech that is poignant and stops people in their tracks and makes the orchestra not want to play you off, then you are doing yourself. That's the best thing you can do to win
Yeah.
the next award.
Yeah.
And so
Those people are gonna want to hear from you again.
Demi and Zoe
Hmm.
slayed that.
Yeah.
To
Okay.
me, it
People
was
want
so
to see
emotional
them
because
speak again. Go
Hmm.
ahead.
I mean, I feel like this role was, especially like you were saying, all these 50 something women being celebrated. I just
Uh-huh.
felt like it was just such a beautiful moment, especially because it was unexpected.
What
Mikey
was?
Madison had been her winning.
Who?
Demi Moore.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like Mikey Madison was the favorite to win, and it was the upset that I was the most happy about. That,
Really?
yeah,
Me too. Me too.
Because she lost to Demi.
yeah.
Yeah.
Best
I,
comedy or musical.
yeah, I agree.
Okay,
Now,
so
is
who
it
missed the
going to
mark?
change anything? Is it going to mean anything for the Oscars? That is the question.
Hmm.
Well,
Maybe
I'm
yeah,
not
she
sure.
got her
I'm
moment
not
in the
sure.
Golden Globes where that kind of movie can be celebrated a little more easily. But we're the Oscars. They could go that way.
But that speech though, where she was like, I was about to give up acting, and like just the compelling backstory there,
Yeah, everybody
yeah.
wants.
I think she really could pull, and I would be happy to see her win that. But I honestly
Me too.
think maybe Mikey Madison deserved a little more because she split that movie with Margaret Qualley. So if we're saying best actress who did the most and who, you know, maybe I would personally give it to Mikey, but I think Demi is absolutely deserving, and her speech is better than I assume anything Mikey could have come up and said.
Mm.
Yeah,
And I think
definitely. And
it's
I
the
think they're
first
giving her her
time she
flowers.
says she won anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she said he's
So
so
let's give her
French
more
and
things.
chic, and like even the way she described him, it was giving such little quirky things that a little Gemini would notice, like Zoe Saldana. So my little astrologer in me was like, "This is so cute."
Oh
But
wait, are we talking about Zoe or Demi? We were talking. Me and Nikki were talking about Demi.
you were talking about Demi Moore?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but she was thinking her director too, wasn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Coralie
he was
Fargia. But yeah,
I didn't think that he deserved best screenplay, but he didn't win best screenplay, or she didn't win best screenplay. But
who?
the director and the writer of
the substance.
Uh,
Substance,
Coralie Fargia.
right?
Yeah.
Just
I
because,
I
didn't think they were gonna win.
just because it just did. At the end of the day, the last thing that made sense to me was why would she keep engaging this younger person if she's just, like not getting as much from it as she thought she was. She's sitting by and witnessing a doppelganger of hers that she feels ownership over, but it's not the same. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You
So
mean
I
in the film, The Substance?
in the film. So I think that was the weak link with the screenplay was that I didn't see why she would keep doing it.
Well, because nothing in her life was going to be accomplished as the old woman that she didn't
Yeah.
believe that
Right.
she had any kind of future
Anything
on her
left.
on her own.
So then what was the point of taking a week? Why not just give the girl all her time? I
Well,
don't.
that's eventually what started happening.
Yeah.
And they were like, both of you are the same people. So
Yeah.
if your other
That's
half is
important.
taking more time, that's because deep down maybe you want her to. And that's the whole point of
Yeah.
the movie, is that they weren't sharing the time because neither one of them thought
Hmm.
that the Demi Moore character should even have a whole week. That's what was my
I
takeaway.
was
It's like the old bitch should get no time. She
Yeah,
should be
like
there
she don't get no time.
plotting way.
But like, why don't you give me 6 days and I'll give you one day?
but
They
speaking of
they try to whittle
screenplay,
her time down to four
They were
days.
whittling, whittling, and whittling.
Yeah.
Um, did you guys
I
like
feel like
Selena Gomez's look? I thought she looked stunning in
Uh-uh.
that blue.
No.
No?
Nope. I didn't like it.
Nick, what about you?
no,
You
I didn't
didn't?
like the Wicked
I don't
looks,
remember it.
Ariana, or I thought
We'll look it
Cynthia's
up.
look had potential, but then that weird side bustle, like I was like, what?
Well, that's fashion. I just feel like
Yeah,
she
she's
didn't.
high
It
fashion.
had potential, but I just something about her styling. She's just so strange.
No, I like her strangeness,
I'm
and I
sorry.
would have liked if the bustle was
Every time I
more
see her, I'm like,
round.
what?
She's a queer Capricorn
She's
lesbian.
queer, and also
She don't care
say
about what
Whoopi
men want.
Goldberg. Like, when's the last time we saw a black woman with no eyebrows? Whoopi Goldberg.
Mm,
That's pretty much her.
Yeah,
yeah.
So, and she's an EGOT. So I kind of have. They don't look similar, and they don't have similar lines of talent actually, because Whoopi can't sing. But on some level, I kind of draw parallels, and I think that she's filling that void of the today's Hollywood stars that Whoopi filled in the 80s and early 90s.
So what do
Maybe.
we think about the Shogun? They wiped the floor with everybody else.
Oh, I knew that was going to happen because I read an article saying, well, the Golden Globes aren't that unique or individual, especially when it comes to TV. So they're just going to piggyback off of mostly what the Emmys did.
Yeah.
And that was correct. And
Yeah.
I should have just gone with all my predictions based on what the Emmys did.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
They
except
were they
for
were
Baby
very they were
Baby,
very charismatic though. I loved their acceptance speeches.
they were
And I
kind of my
thought,
favorite.
hey, if they're gonna upset, then I'm not upset.
I'm not, because they
Yeah.
get up there and they're like, I don't speak English, so I'm not going to take a lot of time.
Right.
I'm also going to say something funny. I'm going to be really happy and buoyant and jubilant and get right on off. And honestly, that was some of my favorite part of the night was the Shogun people, the foreign actors who were like, thank you,
Yeah.
goodbye. And Gene Smart and
Yeah.
some of the
Being
old people who
smart
were
was
like,
good.
thank you, I appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.
Like sign off, make it quick, and people will appreciate that too. As
Mm-hmm.
opposed to I feel like the person who lost their audition. So if Zoe won her audition for the Oscar speech, and so did Demi,
Mm-hmm.
and so did um the
Kieran
guy
Culkin,
who
Kieran?
Sebastian
did
Stan.
okay. I thought Kieran Culkin did okay, but he's a lock. I think he's a lock to win.
He's like
Um,
ADHD and like probably has like he just interacts with people and he doesn't cater to the
he's
academy.
pretty irreverent. I mean, his brother is probably the biggest like movie
Yeah.
star. Like he grew up, in Hollywood. But I thought John M. Chu, the Wicked guy, the director, also did a great job. His speech talking about being weird and optimistic in these troubling times. But the person who I think sadly failed their audition, who I would not really want to see get up and give a speech again, was Jacques Audiard, who was the director of Amelia Perez, when he won, surprisingly upset, won best screenplay over Honora and Conclave and A Real Pain, which is why I think even further the Golden Globes are
I
illegitimate.
thought Conclave won Best Screenplay
Oh, maybe it was best
because
adapted.
I was
Conclave won
surprised.
best
I was like,
adapted.
I should have gone with that because that was my first
Conclave
fourth
did win.
favorite.
But he won best original, or
He
I don't
won
know.
best
They won
Conclave
something.
was
Best director.
adapted. Conclave was adapted.
Okay.
It was a novel.
Yes. And Amelia Perez won best
It's original.
original,
Yes.
but Amelia Perez was the surprise. And
Right.
honestly,
Because
I feel
Honora
like
was a better script, aside from the word.
absolutely.
And that's
Well,
why I was not mad that they lost.
there's a lot
Patty
of F
Davis.
words in there. I mean, if you're going to say besides this, then a lot of people have other things that they find offensive in that they would also discount it. And maybe that's why I didn't win.
Probably.
But his speech with the translator,
It was painful.
it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty hard to,
Well, and
you
then
know,
even when he finally gave it to Sophia, the lady who was the lead in
Carla
Yes,
Gaston, yeah.
Carla Sophia, yeah, Garcon. I thought, I guess I assumed that she spoke English better than that, but it seemed like she
Mm-hmm.
struggled too.
Mm-hmm.
So I
And what
feel
was
like,
weird too about the telecast is they kept like accidentally going to
the
the
wrong.
Modern Family girl. What was her name? Sofia Vergara. It's like they would say Carla Gascon and then go to
Sophia Vergara.
Sofia Vergara, which is like,
Uh,
this isn't the
wrong
same.
Latino lady.
Fix the
It,
AI, y'all. They not the
Yeah.
same.
it was really like a bit jarring at times because I'm like, are they accidentally going to the wrong person, or are they just randomly showing Sofia Vergara even though they're talking about
Right.
Carla Sofia Gaston? Like it just,
Well, she was attention grabbing with her antics. So
So I
she
guess
was.
in closing, does this change what your predictions are for the Oscars? We had a whole list for actresses, best supporting, best picture. Has anything changed? We got to take the TV out.
Yes.
We got to take the
Yes.
TV out because that was specific to the Golden Globes. Now we're back to just the movies.
I feel like I will not. I think a few things are clear. The Brutalist wants to be the front
Yes.
runner,
Yes.
but it is not strong enough to be.
Right.
So then other areas are sprinkling the wins to Conclave or Amelia Perez.
Or
And
Honora in the Oscars. Do you think
but
Honora should be?
Honora got no love. Like they didn't win
The whole
anything,
movie. Yeah,
which was
that's true. They
really
didn't win anything.
surprising to me.
It's because Challengers took some of their thunder.
No, Challengers won best score, which great. I think that was fun.
I was the one who voted for that because that score has been on repeat since June.
Mhm. I
It
think
reminds
the
me of when
things
we
that
graduated high school. It's just total early 2000s
yeah,
house.
I think if anything, this is showing that Challengers is stronger in score than we thought. I think Flow could and will upset uh robot, whatever the robot.
The
Wild
robot
Rap.
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. And I'm not going to make the same mistake last year I did, where I went with the mass public and threw my prediction behind Spider-Man
Hmm.
2 instead of The Boy and the Heron. I
Hmm.
think Flow could and will upset. And this is my cue, this is my clue, and I'm going to go with it. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that the technical categories here are what is most telling. I think the spicier or the more obvious actor things is like people win Golden Globes all the time and then that goes nowhere. You know, I don't think A Different Man is going to eke its way into the Oscars,
Mm-mm.
but you know, that guy won for best actor. So
So
yeah,
question for you girls.
yeah.
Do you think that seeing all of these like movies and seeing these Oscars and the award season is changing your minds about who should be winning? Or do you think when you find out that you guessed someone and they won, but it wasn't who you wanted to win, do you guess
Mm-mm,
for who you want to win?
mm-mm.
Or do you guess for who you think can win? Because I found that today, for example, I did guesses on who some I wanted to win and some it's
Yeah,
kind of like a potpourri. Some
yeah,
people
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I loved her in Reindeer Baby. I just got to vote for her, even though it's not looking good. And she won. But then last minute I changed it because her odds weren't good. And then I was mad at myself. And I think at the end of the day, I was more upset with myself for not going with my gut, even if that wasn't the answer.
Just like
But
with Conclave, because that was my first. I went to go
yeah,
pick that with the screenplay, and then
yep.
I was like, well, no, because all these other
mhm.
movies are getting love, and
Hmm.
I changed it, and I was mad at myself.
Yep. So is it more important to just go with the film you believe in, regardless?
Not
No.
always.
Mm-mm.
No, not
I'm
always.
sorry, but no.
A
And I
unanimous no.
If you
We
want
just
the best score sheet, no. So what's important to do, and this I took from Nikki in my early years of Oscar predicting, is I researched the shit out of all of this stuff. I
hmm.
hmm
will read every article that pops up and says Oscars
I
that
heard
comes across my whatever. Um
for sure.
I am a dogmatic and a thorough researcher, including social media and Reddit and what the people on the street are saying versus what the Hollywood is saying. And now they're releasing like ballots these days where like people are getting a hold of Oscar voters' ballots and they're explaining why they voted for what. So I am looking at what the trajectory is, what the precursors are, what the history is, who predicts the winners most often, which is SAG and DGA and the
Mm.
guilds, not Golden Globes. And that's why I'm saying Golden Globes, you know,
Ain't shit.
they're anti-black and, you know, I have zero room for
They get
them,
it wrong. Yeah,
but beautiful gowns, you know, um,
some
some
of
of
them.
them. But when there is a category where in my heart, I feel like I'm really, really, really rooting for a certain performance, like Coda. That was one last year
Mhm.
before
2
last.
years ago.
I felt very strongly about Coda
Me too.
personally. And so even though it looked like other movies were, and history showed that it might not, and whatever.
Didn't
You go with your gut on the ones that won't let you
go.
rest about choosing the front runner.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's usually where you'll find the upset.
Mm-hmm. Was
So
there?
it can't be all the categories.
It can't be. Was
It
there? Did
just,
you have any of those moments tonight where you agonized and then picked and then you were right?
no, because
You just went
I
off
went on a
of
limb and
odds.
picked Coleman Domingo.
Okay. I
And
felt
I knew
that
that
way.
wasn't gonna be right, but I out of a lot of the pundits I'm reading have said it's gonna be between Adrian Brody and Timothy Chalamet.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had my druthers, Coleman would win.
Yeah.
So that's
Um,
where deep down I feel like I would root for him. But yeah, I'm happy with Demi.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Me
after
too.
her journey through Hollywood and just
Yeah.
her, I couldn't be happier. Zoe, I couldn't be happier
Mm-hmm.
except for
yeah.
her
But the
whole I'm
other
not
lady who won
black.
Best Dramatic, like that's
Fernanda Torres. So this is what I was telling Danny
Mm-hmm.
and on Reddit and on like blogs and international a lot of people were rooting for Fernanda Torres and really already salty because they thought that she would just automatically lose to Angelina Jolie or um, Nicole Kidman. But this is a largely foreign voting body and a very small voting body.
Okay.
So the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is going to push forward international performers
Yeah.
like last year with the woman who starred in Zone of Interest and that
yeah, the first lady.
Yeah.
yeah, the German,
He had
yeah.
a big year.
Chick German, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they pushed her forward and then she did get nominated. Now, I don't think Fernanda Torres will.
Mm-hmm.
I think if anyone international should, it should be Marianne Jean Baptiste for Heart's
Baptiste.
Fruits,
Yes.
but she's also Black.
Yes.
So this is the
Angela
Hollywood
Baby's
Foreign
not
Press
out.
Association. Yeah.
So
Neither of these movies are accessible. So this is the tricky thing. The HFPA will always go international and they will always go non-black.
yeah.
What
Usually.
bothered me was that a lot of the winners, we didn't have access to the movies yet. It's just like The Brutalist. Like, how are we supposed to know? It's kind of
Yeah.
like it's not even fair
No.
It's not for us.
for us to be watching these awards and like seeing somebody win for something that we haven't even seen yet, and they're for 2024. It doesn't make any
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
It really bothers me. And I
Yeah.
also thought I would be happier for Adrian Brody if he won, but I wasn't.
Mm-mm.
No. No.
That
I
was
wasn't.
funny
I
when she
wanted,
joked that she was like two-time Holocaust survivor Adrian Brody.
I mean,
I
Off
feel like
color.
I wanted Timothy to win.
I
Have
would
you
prefer
seen that movie though
Timothy.
yet?
I would prefer Coleman. I thought his speech was decent though.
Whose?
Adrian
Adrian
Brody.
Brody.
At
His
least he didn't get up and kiss somebody on the mouth
yeah.
unsolicited in like a sexual assault moment. And I know that's been talked about
He's
ad
trying to redeem
nauseum,
himself.
but
Yeah.
some things I find hard to forget. I forgive, but don't forget. And
I'll
the
never
moment
forget that night when we saw that.
when he subjected Hallie to a full mouth kiss,
I mean, it was a long one too.
it was just, yeah,
Eh.
in front of her boo, or her husband was in the front row, like, nah. So yeah, I don't know. We have to see the brutalist.
We have to
So
Yeah.
see
maybe
the
we'll see it
brutalist.
and we'll be like, yes, absolutely deserving. But
I want to see Sing Sing too.
I'm not sure much has moved except for Demi. She's moved up a little bit in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Flo has moved up. I feel more confident in picking it
Yeah.
because that was an upset I wanted to vote for and didn't because yeah, but I
That's
I
fun about the
probably
cat.
will. And I'm also thinking The Brutalist is weaker than we think if it did not win screenplay. Conclave won. Honora, I just don't know.
I'm confused.
I think that they
Yeah.
don't like the stripper, like maybe because it's Russian. I don't know. I
Um,
don't know.
We're disappointed. We love Honora.
Yeah, but the international community does not love Russia.
Yes.
So we have to
Oh,
consider
the
that
cheese
might be a
stands
factor too.
alone. The cheese
that's
stands
true.
alone.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
thought about that too when it first became a part of the conversation.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, nobody's gonna care that this is like,
Well, and then I mean they dropped the N-bomb in there. Why?
But
Because
they said the F word several times. I mean, it's not the
yeah,
N word was like a small grievance compared to how many FAGGOT words were dropped.
yeah, but it was dropped by a non-black person.
Well, that was dropped by non-gay people.
how do
I
you
mean,
know?
the F word,
Yeah.
Mikey Madison.
Yeah, she could be bi. You don't know people's sexual
It was
orientation.
it was it was dropped as it was an insult.
Yes, no, absolutely.
So yeah, there it doesn't that doesn't matter.
I do think that still insult to insult. You put the F word in there, you're trying to be cool. You put the N word in there, what are you trying to do? To
You're
me,
You're
trying to
trying
get
to be
away with something,
you're trying to be cool because they were trying to. This was the character that dropped the F bomb, the N word, was one of the Russian friends, the cook guy. Because I went back and watched.
hmm
He was one of the random friends that they hunted down where they were trying to get him to answer his phone. The
hmm
character,
in the
Vanya.
candy store,
hmm
No, not in the candy store. They went to the
the other
candy
one,
store, and then nobody there knew who he was. They trashed that place, and then they went to the other friend who worked in a restaurant who was on the
right?
line. He was a cook,
hmm
and then on the way out, he said something like, "That N word is crazy," talking about Vanya and how hard he is to reach and how random his life
hmm
is as his friend. I gathered that he was trying to use Black vernacular based on this consumption of rap music and Black culture. It wasn't like
The way
it
he
just
was
seemed like
trying
he
to
was trying to
sting
be,
him.
he was calling Vanya, like that nigga, like it wasn't like um
When she called,
I still feel like it's trying to get away with something. They know they're not supposed to say it.
yeah, he could have just left it
but
out. Would
they
have
get
been,
so comfortable. You don't know what they do without us around.
but
I
that's
think they say
true.
it
But
all the time
all the
as
time,
all the time
all the
without Black
time.
people around, and then just have
Chaldeans,
a
Really?
hard
all of
time.
them. Chaldeans, all of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I think they all.
the fact is, if you're trying to get best screenplay, you can leave that out, and you might get it.
Yeah.
Period. So that's why you can't drop the F words. You
But
can't.
I think that if it doesn't win, it will not be because of that one N-word drop that we are haggling over. I think it'd be a bigger glaring offense, which is the repeated use of the
Of
F
the F
word.
F
word. I
word.
get it.
I agree
Yeah.
with you.
In a
I get it.
Well,
derogatory way,
either
because
way,
that was to insult one of the characters, whereas the N word was just dropped as a like an aside trying to be cool. It wasn't like he wasn't calling him that with a hard R to be like,
right,
insulting the character.
right.
You know what I mean?
So at
But
the
yeah,
end
I
of the
think
day,
for those reasons, maybe it didn't win.
it didn't win. Oh well. So for the next podcast, we are going
Yeah.
to be comparing and contrasting the Wicked soundtracks. Yes,
Yes.
so we know
Why
we
is
won't
this
be
feeling so
disappointed.
silent in
This is
me?
going to be difficult for me because I saw like Wicked in the West End as well.
Ooh, expert
And it was so good. I mean, I
Mm,
haven't seen the movie yet, which I can now rent or buy. I might buy it tonight.
as well.
But I felt like the singing was better than the original soundtrack already. So
Wow.
I
Wait till you hear Cynthia and
yeah,
Rihanna. Mm.
I assumed that it's gonna outdo the original.
You're in for it.
Well, and I will say, and don't go doing any research before we do it, but watching the film and listening to the soundtrack are two very different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Things stand out to you with just the recording that do not occur to you when you're watching the
Watch
spectacle
all the things that are
of
happening.
the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say, things I didn't notice in the film.
Don't tell us now. Wait for the next episode.
I
See us
won't
back
say.
next week for the rule of three as we look into the soundtrack of Wicked. And fun
Yes.
fact, this will be our first podcast where we're all three together.
Yes.
So prepare yourselves.
And we're going to start with Defying Gravity. We're going to compare Idina Menzel and Kristen
Yeah.
Chenoweth against Cynthia
And
Erivo and Ariana Grande in the Defying Gravity epic
the force
closer act one. Yeah.
it's got a lot of power.
Yeah. Which one are we gravitating to? What are the strengths and weaknesses of each one?
Yeah.
Who is winning Defying Gravity? We will see. We will see, and we will be fair, but we will be honest.
We will be fair, we'll be honest. Till next time, hope you enjoyed the Golden Globes, everyone. And go Lions!
Go
Go
Lions!
Lions!